welcome to Harvesting Our Wellbeing as Educators. I'm Maura Higgins.
I'm Hugh.
And this is our guest, Malachy Flanagan. We are moving into a new space with Harvesting Our Wellbeing as Educators, where we have a conversation with educators and people who care about education. And Malachy is the principal of Closh Wira CBS Secondary School in Mullingar. You're very welcome, Malachy.
Thanks, Moira. It's great to be here. And good to see you, Hugh, as well.
Great to see you, Malachy. Absolutely. Well, Malachy, great to have you with us. As I said, I suppose the first thing we're going to ask is, in these mad times that we're living in, and all the stuff that's happened, and I suppose the simple question is, how are you? How are you as an educator, and how is Malachy with what's happened over the last while, and how are you keeping?
Yeah, I'm great, Hugh, and delighted to be here. Excuse me, a bit nervous, as I said to both of you at the beginning. Again, outside a comfort zone. But the moment you rang me, Hugh, last week, I think it was buried knee deep in something to do with school, and then I had kids running around me here as well. And just when I'm asked to do something like this, and when it's by good people that I've met last year during lockdown, and Hugh, I've known a couple of years now. Both yourself and Moira, when you started your harvesting well-being of educators last March, and you invited me onto it, I was just delighted and so privileged, and I got so much out of it myself. So the moment you rang, Hugh, I always answer your calls, because you're just one of those people that could bring good news. So how am I? My nerves, I'm grounded now after that. As an English teacher, I was worried about stumbling over the words of a poem, which is shocking. But when you actually just got into the flow of it there, John O'Donoghue's poetry is just amazing. And I'm embarrassed to say, as an English teacher, I never studied John O'Donoghue. I never taught the boys John O'Donoghue. And you brought it to light for me last year, you and Moira, during the March lockdown, and I printed out a lot of copies of his poetry and had them up around the bathroom sink when I'd be brushing my teeth. I mindfully brushed my teeth and read them, and that grounded me every morning and every night, and it was a lovely thing. So thank you both for introducing me to him. So how am I? I'm brilliant. Sorry, that was the longest answer ever. This podcast could go on. edit whatever.
Well, look, you're good. That's good. You've grounded all of us now, so thank you. Fair play to you. Well, that's great to hear, number one. So I was just thinking, I suppose, with as educators over the last while, people have been dealing with a lot of challenges, to say the least, anyway. And there's a lot of change happening, and there's a certain amount of uncertainty. So I suppose, as an educator, how have you found, like, what challenges have you come across, and how have you coped with them, or how have you found it yourself over the last while?
I always go back, excuse me, and we're all educators, but I think everybody is, and you know, whether there's a title attached to principals or people, whether you're a leader, I still go back to the same thing. My 7-year-old Brian is a leader in this house as well. When his tooth is falling out and the tooth fairy is coming, whether I'm on a Zoom with Leave and starts talking about calculated grades or whatever it is, that is not important in my house at that moment. It's why the tooth fairy didn't give the €2. So that's what I bring it back to. There's uncertainty in everybody's house, but I firmly believe you can control what you can control within your own life. And that is as simple as having a pint of water every morning, getting out of bed, having a shower, doing those little things, because they're little wins. Not every day is going to be perfect. We're not going to be hugging and kissing each other and saying goodnight like the Waltons or whatever it is, but you just find the good things in each day, and getting out in nature. We said this the last March, and we were all hearing the birds singing and all those wonderful things. I think life took hold again. I think we have to search for that, particularly in a January lockdown. But when you go out there and don't have the earphones in, I've listened to both of you, and you talked about, oh God, I can't even remember, it's some type of walk, the all walk. And I was on my all walk, but I had both of you in my ears. So I cut you out pretty quick after that, and actually went down yesterday and walked in a river with my wellies on. I do that every day. Now I'm going to come across as some sort of a tree hooker here, but I just do really feel that those simple things, those simple rituals, having a cup of tea, having breakfast with your kids, having a meal, if you're privileged enough and lucky enough that you can do that, they're all little stabilities that you can put in place, or that I feel I need in place as well, because I suppose as educators and people that are in the school, we respond to the bell. We say we don't like routine, but the minute routine goes, chaos can kind of descend. It can definitely into my mindset. So I need those things to ground me, or I would be a bit hyper. Yeah.
You have a great sense of family and a great sense of, you know, world beyond the school that I'm getting from you, and that's a real energy from you. And I love that word. You said the word ritual there. You know what I mean? Some people might use the word habit. You said the word ritual, which is a beautiful word in itself. You know, that this is something that you love to do. And I know there's a fad going on at the moment with people with cold showers, and it's supposed to be very good for helping us and stuff like that. And you've answered some of these questions. The idea of, you know, I suppose when it comes to our wellness, we hear a lot about anxiety at the moment. People are suffering with anxiety, and, you know, because of all the change that is happening, and the possibility of an epidemic of that, and hopefully it won't be. But for you yourself, in what helps you cope, is there any particular things that you would say, like as Malachy, that you would say, like, these are things I do every day that are really good, you know, that help me? You know, and I know you've said some of this stuff already there, that, you know, that gives you a sense of evenness and calm, you know, such.
Yeah, I suppose really one thing that I try and be as nice as I possibly can, not fake niceness. And it's a hard thing in a school. It's a hard thing in any walk of life, because I try and surround myself by good, positive people. But again, good, positive people, it's just important to look at things through their eyes as well. That's why at this time, I'm around my 3 boys, I'm around my wife, with good neighbours that we see within the distance of the road or the fields, and it's good to chat to. But I get up every day, I have water every day. I'm not brave enough for the cold showers. They'll last maybe 10 seconds, Hugh. I'm a softie. But yeah, it's just doing those things to push yourself a little bit, to get the breathing right. We have breakfast together as a family. Before the homeschooling starts with the kids, they go out on a trampoline. And I think I bought the trampoline more for myself, the inner child in me, because I didn't have one as a kid. We also got them a pool table for Christmas. Again, I'm living my life through my 3 sons. So I think my wife is rearing 4 boys. But I think that sense of fun is vital, and that you don't have to be in the suit and the tie, and you don't have to be the principal. It's nice just to be yourself, and first and foremost that I'm me, and I'm a dad, and I'm a husband, and forth down along my priorities, I'm a principal. So however long that will last, but I'll be a dad for all my life, I'll be a husband, and I'll be me. The job is just a job, and I mean that with the greatest respect to the school. But I think people have to balance their energy as well. Find things, if you're kind to the lads will remember that. Like we all know, or well, I live by that, the Maya Angelou quote. I have it on my office wall and a painting. People will forget what you said to them, they will forget what you did to them, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So any encounter, even when you have to do the hard things with our own kids here and be the parent and make the hard calls, you can still deliver that. An iron fist in a velvet glove, you can do things gently and kindly, that people say, well, they had to do that, or mom and dad had to make that call, or they wouldn't let us have that, but they were nice about it. So I don't think it costs any money in life to be nice.
Yeah, lovely. I'm just going to say to you as well, I was just thinking, we often say for kids, for students, that we want in education to have a sense of, cultivate a sense of curiosity, cultivate a sense of awe and wonder. That beautiful word, wonder. You know, I can see you're, you know, filled with wonder of the everyday, you know what I mean, with family and people. And I was just thinking there, when it comes to us as adults or educators, you know, and this is maybe going back to the courage, you know, when we come to this as educators on a daily basis, like we look back at the John O'Donoghue's poem for courage, you know, if from your perspective, you know, like, I suppose two things in this. One, is there a sense of awe and wonder there from what you can see on a daily basis with educators and you yourself, right? And then two, is there more courage needed in what we could do going forward as educators? Is there a sense of courage there that we may need? There could be a require of vulnerability, I don't know, but I just, from hearing you there talk, that came into my mind. So your thoughts on it. I don't make sense that, but hopefully it does.
Oh, 100% it does. Again, I'm blessed. Like, we have a great school. I don't think we're the exception to the rule. I think education has come on leaps and bounds since any of the three of us were in school. I went to a good school myself in St. Jarlath's in Tuam. I was a boarder to get away from my three sisters, and I loved every minute of it. I did. I was good at football, or half decent. And I just had a great experience of school, and particularly the teachers that didn't think they were up here and the student was down there. And I think that goes back to Maya Angelou. You'll remember how people made you feel. You'll remember the teacher that humiliated you. They said, "Oh God, Malachy Flanagan, how do you not know that?" I remember when I was in primary school, we had Irish dancing teachers that came into us. I'm from Mayo, so nobody's going to track them down anyway. But two of my sisters were older than me, and they were decent Irish dancers. And I happened to be, I think, in, I don't know, maybe first class, and I was brought in front of the fourth, fifth, and sixth by these two dancers. We were in a small primary school, and the two of them held me under each arm and made me dance in front of everybody. My socks were flopping off me, and they said, "Hard to believe this fella is related to the Flanagan twins. I don't think you're a Flanagan." And the place erupted laughing. I still remember them. I'd love to name and shame them now, but I won't do that. I'm only joking. But that is the impact. And so the way I look at it there, you have to have courage. I certainly am not the brightest person in the world. I never claimed to be. I didn't get 7A1s or 8A1s or H1s or whatever. And I could have Einstein beside me or under the table, and I still wouldn't get them, nor would I ever claim to be. But I think one thing that I'm strong on there is kindness in our school, and I think you have to lead that. It can be cringy at times. You're putting yourself out there. You're vulnerable. The same with first year coming in. I always say to parents, like, there will be ups and downs, and we'll get through it together. And it's about the boys getting the best experience of a school possible, whether that's on the sports field, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's on the stage, whether it's coding, whether it's just having friends, whatever it is, there is something, there should be something for everybody in a school. And that is outside the curriculum, it's outside league tables. I don't look at them, I don't talk about them, or the management don't talk about them. Of course, we want to do the right thing, but it is about people. I got suspended from secondary school myself. I tell this story openly, and I tell it every year as first year parents come in, and one of the deputy principals says, "Don't say about the suspension." And I do it, and I say that, and I talk off the script as I'm doing now here, because I think at least if parents know, well, bloody hell, well, they might say, "We're not sending our son to that school. No way, your man's a lunatic." Or they would say, "Well, Christ, they're honest there. My son is going to be safe. He's going to be valued. He's going to be listened to, and he's going to be cared for. And he will be pushed and challenged to thrive in whatever aspect that is. If that's playing a guitar and he's shocking at geography or English, well, if he can get a little bit better at geography and English on the next test. But isn't it brilliant that he's super on the guitar?" You know, and they're the little things. So courage is a huge thing, Hugh. And I know we often say, like, people will take pops at whoever we do it with the government. Everyone has an opinion. They're like a pair of socks. Everybody has them, but they don't all smell too good. So you just have to go with your gut instinct. If you're doing the right thing with the right intentions, people have to get on the bus. Some won't get on the bus, but the vast majority of people that got into education in the first place did so, like nursing, because they like helping people. and connecting with people. So that's tricky at the moment on Zoom. Everyone wants to be back in the classroom. You do, Hugh, you do, Moira. That's where we can, and that tap on the shoulder to a lad, or, you know, a little nudge, or the look that you can give, that just connection that means much more than words. A wink going down the corridor. I heard you had a great game the other day, or you were in the art centre in a show. My God, I didn't get to see it, but they're raving about you up in the staff room. And that lad walks away from you, and he's 6 foot high, bouncing down the corridor, and he might be only a 4 foot 5 inch second year, but he's feeling good about himself. Maybe that's a bit magical and unicorns. I really firmly believe that.
And yeah, real sense of people relations and what it's all about. And as you said, distinguishing the role from life beyond that. Yeah, very rich. And I was going to just say to you, finally finish just, Malachy, from all this, do you think there's, when we go back into our classrooms, which hopefully will be very soon, would you have a new perspective yourself? Any insight that you took from all this, that when you go back into schools and stuff? Obviously, you've been busy anyway, I know that, but anything that you would take with you going back in, any new insight or that you would take with you, in, I suppose, in the context of well-being as well, for educators as such, for yourself even, and people?
Yeah, I really do feel people need to be more gentle on themselves. You know, I think there's teachers, there's people in all walks of life around the country right now, but particularly teachers, because that's what we're talking about, who are just doing so much, and they keep questioning themselves. God, am I doing enough? Am I doing more? They're balancing home lives, they're putting on Zoom classes, Google Classrooms. They're going above and beyond, connecting by emails and voice notes and note notes, and everyone has pushed themselves so much, but yet there's that inner critic in all of us. What about the school next door? Oh God, they're doing that. And not being want to found that we could have done more. I think, and we said this, and we say it to the boys as well, sometimes people need to stand up, and we all need someone to do it for us, to make that hard call. I just said to our teachers, if you're having that bad day, like, I'm not going to be watching over your shoulder or seeing how many Zoom lessons you did. We have to know we're doing the right thing by the boys, but also in their households, there's chaos. There's mom and dad fighting over a laptop. There's boys sharing bedrooms, looking for that quiet spot. So I think it'll make us all a little bit more aware of the person, that every one of us, whether it's a boy in first year or it's the oldest teacher in the staff room, behind all of that, when we strip it back, there is vulnerability, there's challenges. And I think we have to look beyond that and say, my God, if I was in Hugh's shoes there, like, what's it like for him? Maybe he's a bit snappy with me today, rather than me taking it so personally or snapping at decisions that are made by management in the school. Just look at, God, I think they're making it for the right reason. But that's where a huge thing, trust, has to come in. And just take those down days as well and say, I'm not going to correct anything today. When I was in England, this is just a short story, when I did my training in England. Sorry, I know I go off on a tangent here.
Work away.
First of all, my dad said to me when I was going to England, and we have a shopkeepers and we're undertakers in Mayo, in the west of Ireland. And so my dad wouldn't have gone to college, but he said to me, he said, when you go to England now, don't turn out to be one of those teachers. And I said, like what? And he said, one of those teachers, you know, one of those teachers. I mean, he still throws this statement at me. He said, when you go into whatever school you go into, I don't care who your boss is, you treat your boss and you treat the lady cleaning the toilets and the caretaker and the person in the canteen, you treat them all exactly the same with how you were brought up and with good manners. And the principal is no better than any of the rest of them. And he said, if you can do that, you won't go far wrong. And that's what I think is important there. But there was this other man, he was kind of my mentor in the school. He was an English teacher, and like the marking, you would know you as an English teacher, it's phenomenal. Yeah. He was bringing this marking home one day, and he said, it was coming back on the train with him, going back to school. He was getting the train an hour journey every day, and the marking was coming with him, let's say 6-year marking, so essays. And this went on for 8 days. You know, they went into the second week and he was getting nowhere with a copy here and there. And then one day he got off at his stop, looked at the copies and walked on. Now with GDPR and everything, he wouldn't be doing that now, but he let the problem go because he wasn't dealing with it. Now, that's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating you be tracked down.
Love.
Unfortunately, I can relate to that. But anyway, yeah.
Sometimes you just have to say, lads, I didn't get around to marking it. Forgive me, but if I don't start afresh here, and lads need to know as well. And we kept saying that every day was a fresh start in our school. So for the boy that hadn't engaged or hadn't got his geography or his English done, there's no point him saying, oh, I'm not going to go on to Malachy's class because he's going to kill me. I haven't done the last 3 assignments. So once the boys knew they had a fresh start, it was almost a get out of jail each day. But at least it was better getting them in rather than the anxiety of that mountain. So we let that homework go on the train like the teacher 20 years ago. Just let it go.
Love it. Every day is a fresh start. It's like more what you talked about, the beginner's mind, isn't it? Each day, you know, that we start the beginner, we begin afresh, you know. And you said letting go of the mountain of anxiety, just saying, look, that's gone. We're in the here and now, the present moment. I have to say, Malachy, I admire your empathy and your love of people, your energy, and most of all, really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you. And just to finish, can I ask you to read the poem for courage again? That'd be great.
I get it right this time, is it?
No, not at all. No. Thank you.
When the light around you lessens and your thoughts darken until your body feels fear turn cold as a stone inside. When you find yourself bereft of any belief in yourself and all your unknowingly learned on or leaned on has fallen. When one voice commands your whole heart and it is raven dark, steady yourself and see that this is your own thinking that darkens your world. Search and you will find a diamond thought of light. Know that you are not alone and that this darkness has purpose. Gradually it will school your eyes to find the one gift your life requires, hidden within this night corner. Invoke the learning of every suffering you have suffered. Close your eyes, gather all the kindling about your heart to create one spark. That is all you need to nourish the flame that will cleanse the dark of its weight of festered fear. A new confidence will come alive to urge you towards higher ground, where your imagination will learn to engage difficulty as its most rewarding threshold.
Thanks,
Thank you, Malachy. It was really lovely. And I think you are that diamond thought. You found it. And it's really lovely to hear how you share it with your community in the school. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hugh. And thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.